Who would know?
On live television, Sophie Cunningham didn't hold back as she called out the Indiana Fever president. Her remarks sent shockwaves across the basketball world and had a much bigger impact than anyone expected, with the Fever front office already facing growing pressure. If you're enjoying this content, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 83% of viewers still haven't subscribed. It's completely free, only takes a second, and it truly helps support the channel. So, have you subscribed yet? Awesome. Thank you so much for your support. Now, let's get back to the video.
Well, this game is boring, it's not good basketball. Then all of a sudden, everything got spicy. Everything got negative. We need to talk about it, you guys. This is my live reaction.
But this isn't just one viral moment. It's a full-scale reckoning. From questionable silence to an unexpected cultural firestorm, the story has grown far beyond a single incident. I have the receipts, the fallout, and every shocking detail you need to hear.
At Iowa.
A routine post-game interview was supposed to follow. No drama, no headlines, just another microphone, another player, and another recap. But in less than 15 seconds, Sophie Cunningham changed everything. If you don't think Caitlin Clark is the face of this league, you're crazy. It wasn't just a quote. It was a statement. No filter, no hesitation, just raw honesty. Suddenly, the conversation wasn't only about basketball. It felt like the league was split down the middle. This wasn't simply an opinion. It was a direct challenge. A message aimed at those who had dismissed Clark from the beginning, and a shot at executives hiding behind carefully crafted PR statements and silence. As pressure continued to build across the league, Sophie's words poured fuel on the fire. Within minutes, social media exploded. TikTok filled with dramatic edits, Twitter erupted with endless debate, and Instagram was flooded with reels, memes, and tributes. Fans started calling her the enforcer, the bodyguard, and the ultimate teammate. But what made the moment so powerful wasn't the viral clips, it was that it sounded genuine. It felt like someone who had finally grown tired of the fake smiles and empty respect. Cunningham wasn't just standing beside Clark, she was stepping directly into the fire with her. Meanwhile, the Fever front office remained silent, scrambling behind the scenes while one of their own had completely shifted the conversation. Before we continue, if you agree with what Sophie said, be sure to hit the like button. The more people talk about this, the harder it becomes to ignore. Now, you already know the game everyone remembers. Indiana versus Connecticut. Caitlin Clark took another hard hit, this time involving J.C. Sheldon. It wasn't the first incident, and many believed it wouldn't be the last. But what happened next changed everything. Sophie Cunningham didn't wait for the officials to respond. She became the response. She charged in, grabbed Sheldon, and sent a message that everyone understood. It wasn't just contact. It was a declaration. The crowd went silent, commentators stumbled over their words, and the referees handed Sophie a $900 fine. Reports even suggested she laughed it off, saying, "That's worth it." Within moments, the clip went viral. Slow-motion replays spread across social media before the game had even ended, all carrying the same message: protect the queen. But the biggest moment came later, away from the cameras. In the locker room, Caitlin looked at Sophie and simply said, "Finally." Not "thank you." Not "wow." Just "finally." It sounded like months of frustration, hard fouls, and silence had finally reached a breaking point. Sophie looked back and replied, "I got you." No cameras, no headlines, no PR, just two teammates sharing a real moment. From then on, it wasn't just about basketball anymore. Clark had become more than a player. She had become a symbol. And Sophie had become more than a teammate. She had become a rallying point. That single act drew a line in the sand for the Fever. Stand together or stand aside. After that moment, returning to business as usual was no longer an option, and the message to everyone watching was unmistakable. Protect each other or get out of the way.
People were doing this. Two Caitlin Clark teammates weren't jumping in there. They bring in Sophie Cunningham. I had no idea. Sophie Cunningham was a black belt at the age of 6.
Yeah. Yep.
Boom!
Wow.
JC Sheldon, that's cute. You want to poke her in the eye? Then push her into a boom, Mabry thing? Go ahead. I'll take a take foul, and you'll eat the deck a little bit here. And then we'll get out. I love it. I like, also, I know people aren't going to like this. I like the Connecticut team doing what they did as well.
Yeah. Just go tomorrow. You're on the Las Vegas Strip. What can the Las Vegas expect from Sophie?
Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna be me. I don't go in there trying to predetermine anything. I'm dialed in. I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities. And you know what? During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team.
Behind the scenes, the pressure had been building for months. Sophie Cunningham didn't confront JC Sheldon on impulse. She had watched the pattern unfold game after game. It wasn't paranoia, it was recognizing the same story playing out repeatedly. To her, the treatment Caitlin Clark received wasn't just internet speculation. It was visible in the hard fouls, the late contact after whistles, the sideline reactions, and the subtle comments that seemed to question Clark's place in the league. The message many fans believed they were seeing was simple: make life difficult before she fully takes over. Sophie noticed it all, keeping every moment in the back of her mind while others brushed it aside. But after Clark was knocked to the floor yet again, everything reached a breaking point. It wasn't a reckless reaction. It was the result of months of frustration finally boiling over. When the team returned to the Fever locker room, something had changed. The days of pretending nothing was happening were over. Someone had finally said, enough. That moment shifted the mood, and suddenly staying neutral didn't feel like an option anymore. As many fans saw it, you either stood with Clark or stayed silent. Meanwhile, the Fever front office remained largely quiet, offering carefully measured statements while Sophie stepped into the role many believed leadership had avoided. Her actions resonated throughout the team because, when adversity returned, players knew who had been willing to stand up. At the same time, the WNBA continued benefiting from the attention Clark brought through higher ratings, increased merchandise sales, and growing fan interest. But Sophie openly questioned what she viewed as a double standard when it came to protecting the league's biggest attraction. She criticized the officiating, arguing that similar actions from other players might have drawn harsher penalties, while Clark often seemed to receive little protection. She also questioned league leadership, suggesting they were willing to benefit from Clark's popularity without doing enough to defend her. Those comments spread rapidly across social media, inspiring videos, fan reactions, and signs in the stands. What started as an interview quickly felt like a rallying cry for supporters who believed Clark had absorbed too many hard hits without enough consequences. In that moment, Sophie became more than just a teammate. She became one of the loudest voices in the debate. Meanwhile, the Fever's leadership stayed mostly silent, leaving fans to draw their own conclusions. To many supporters, the issue wasn't just officiating anymore. It was whether the league was doing enough to protect its biggest stars. Sophie's viral comments forced a difficult conversation. If a league depends on its marquee players to drive growth, it also has a responsibility to support and protect them when they're on the court.
You guys, you can hear it in the video right here. The Indiana Fever fans were chanting, Sophie, Sophie. Sophie's jersey is going to sell out tonight. She's going to be in the All-Star game tonight just from this one play because she was standing on business. It wasn't a dirty play. It was an intentional foul, and it was meant to send a message. And how egregious the referees were and how they were not protecting players, and they especially weren't protecting the #1 player in this league, the biggest draw in this league, which is
Sophie Cunningham's comments struck a chord because many fans felt they reflected months of frustration. After watching every hard foul, controversial call, and long stretch of silence from the league, supporters rallied behind her. Clark fans, YouTube creators, TikTok users, and social media communities flooded the internet with highlight clips, reactions, and messages praising Cunningham for standing up for her teammate. Her popularity surged, jerseys sold quickly, and fans embraced her as one of Clark's strongest supporters. Meanwhile, many criticized the league's public response as too generic, arguing that it failed to address the concerns surrounding Clark. Cunningham's message resonated with many supporters who believe the league should do more to protect its biggest stars, turning the conversation into a broader debate about player safety, leadership, and the future direction of the WNBA. As the discussion continued to grow, fans made it clear they wanted accountability, transparency, and stronger support for the players who have helped bring unprecedented attention to the league. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video.
Fever fans, because you guys came in so strong and were doing exactly what fans need to do. They were booing these players every time they touched the ball. They were getting active. They were getting after it. I'm surprised the WNBA hasn't launched an investigation yet, honestly. But the Connecticut Sun started to get embarrassed, and that is not a good place to be. That's actually a dangerous place to be when you're on the court. And so I was worried that things are going to get even more physical, because when a team feels like they have nothing to lose, sometimes they start to get dirty, they start to get extra physical. And this is not only something that
This was no longer just about Caitlin Clark. Sophie Cunningham had sparked a much bigger conversation. By standing up for Clark, she also highlighted the growing debate surrounding the league, its culture, and the way many fans believe its biggest stars are treated. Supporters argued that Clark brought record attention, sold-out arenas, and new audiences to the WNBA, yet some felt her success was met with unnecessary criticism instead of celebration. Cunningham questioned why the league seemed uncomfortable embracing the momentum Clark created, asking why people were upset when women's basketball was finally receiving the attention it had always wanted. Her comments quickly went viral, resonating with fans who believe the league should capitalize on its growing popularity rather than resist it. As the discussion intensified, Cunningham became one of the loudest voices in the debate, while many waited for a stronger response from league leadership. Whether people agreed with her or not, her remarks fueled one of the biggest conversations in women's basketball, and the story is far from over. Share your thoughts in the comments, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video.